Hey YouTube, my name's Nick James and I'm going to be teaching you guitar. Are you getting the most out of the cage system? Hopefully after this lesson you'll see that we're just kind of scratching the surface. We're going to be taking a deep dive into the C shape and how it relates to the other chords in its chord scale. So specifically the 1-4-5 chord progression is going to be used in most of music, whether you're adding minor chords into a progression. The 1 major, 4 major, and 5 major are going to be heavily used in all of Western music. So we're going to be actually looking at the C-shaped G major chord and how we can actually use the C major or 4 chord really close by, right in the same kind of hand position. So we have G major in the C shape, C major in the E shape, and then we have D major in the G shape, the 5, and then back to the 1 G. But what we're going to do to actually make this a little bit easier is break down each one of these chords into triads. So the great thing about this C shape is there's a triad on every set of strings. So if we started at the bottom, it actually looks like a D major chord. And then the next set of 3 strings brings us to what we call a first inversion triad, because it's got the 3rd B on top. And then this D shape is actually a second inversion because D, the 5th, is on top. And then we have our proper major triad where we have 1, 3, 5. And then right on top of that, we have that second inversion again where we have the D on top. So that takes care of all of our G major triads in that hand position for the C shape. Now when we go to our 4 chord in a song, we actually have the C major chord really close by. And if we look at it in triads, it's actually really close to this D, or D-shaped G chord. So we have G and then C. And if we keep going up the sets of strings, we have this as our first inversion C major triad because the 3rd is on top, the E note. Then we have one of my favorite triads. It's just a proper major triad, but it looks like a stair step down where you're just going a string down, fret down, string down, fret down. So we have C, E, and G, 1, 3, 5. And then down here we have the second inversion because we're starting on that 5th. So G is the 5th of C major. So we have 5, then we have 1, and it's major 3rd. And unfortunately there's not a triad on this set of strings, at least in this hand position, the top 3 sets of strings. So for C major, we have those 3 triads to work with. Now when we go to the 5 chord D, it's coming right out of this G shape. So why don't we start all the way at the top here, because we have D rooted on the E string, which is going to set us up to have that proper 1, 3, 5. So just a regular major triad. And then we're going to play its first inversion using the 3rd on top. And then we can keep going down the same shape. and play just what looks like a kind of a C shape, borrowing from that C shape D chord, and we're just playing it up in this next hand position. So it's just going to be using all the notes, or all the 7th frets on the D, G, and B string. And being that it's an A note on top, D's 5th, this is a second inversion. So we have a proper D major triad, its first inversion, second inversion. And that's really it. There's no triad in this hand position for D major on these 3 bottom strings here. But how can you actually use this information? So when you're going to solo, when you hear a chord change from the 1 to the 4 chord, you may wanna, instead of target G, you wanna target C. It doesn't mean that all the other notes in the major scale are off limits. It's just the fact that the 1, 3, and 5 for the specific chord you're playing over is always going to sound good. So if you can get these triad shapes down, you'll be much better off to actually start to see the target notes or the chord tones when you're soloing. And you can actually do the same thing for the minor chords as well, so I don't really want to leave those out. I just thought that the 1, 4, and 5 are, pretty standard, and it's often used in like blues music. So if you play a lot of blues, like a 12-bar blues, it's just going to use the 1, 4, or 5 chords. But let's say we wanted to do this whole the same exercise with the whole major scale, right? Because we already did the 1 chord G, it's 4 C major, it's 5 D major, but what if we wanted to do maybe A minor, which is the 2 in G major. So we have G major, A minor, B minor is the 3rd. So we'll start with A minor. We actually have a triad right here at the top. We have a triad right here. And then we have our D shape minor, A minor triad at the bottom. So those are the only 3 triads for A minor in this hand position. And we can do the same exercise with B minor, which is kind of nice because the B minor actually has a minor triad on every set of strings. So if we went from the top here, we'll have kind of a similar looking triad we had to A minor. We're just moving it up 2 frets. So now we have a B minor triad. And this is its first inversion because it's got the minor third on top. And then we can keep going down where we're starting on a second inversion where the 5th is on top. So F sharp is B's 5th. And then we'll have B, the 1, and its minor third, which is D. So we'll have second inversion, first inversion, a proper minor triad with B, its minor third D, and its 5th F sharp. And then we actually have a triad all the way down here at the bottom, which is a first inversion because it starts on that D note, the minor third, then the 5th, and the 1. And then the last minor chord we can look at is E minor, which is G major's relative minor. So you're going to see some common tones or common notes in these two chords, G major and E minor. So E minor looks like this at the bottom. And this will be our proper E minor triad with the 1 E, minor third G, and 5th B. And then we have its second inversion right on top of it, where you have B, it's 5th, E, it's 1, and it's minor third G. And then the last place you'll actually see is the first inversion, where we use G, B, and then E. 3, 5, 1, or minor third, 5th, 1. So if you really take the time to practice these, you'll really be able to see them when you're playing your solos. These triads are without a doubt the best tool to use to actually navigate the fretboard and be able to target the notes you want to play. And we'll do follow-up lessons where we look at this same concept in all 5 caged positions, but at least wanted to start on this C shape because there's a lot more there. If you're just learning the cage system and just kind of take it as this is the C shape and there's nothing else to learn around it, that's kind of not the point. You want to be able to take this C-shaped G chord and identify, oh, if I'm playing the 2 minor, A minor, I've got those triads. If I'm playing the 3 minor, I've got, lots of opportunities to play B minor right in the same hand position. I don't need to go move up and down the neck just yet. Everything's so closely related. You can jump to the 4 chord C major, the 5 chord D major, and the 6 minor. I hope that lesson was helpful, and if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. If you like these lessons, please subscribe, and if you know anybody else wanting to learn guitar, go ahead and share these lessons. Thanks again, and have a nice weekend.